Arrogance is a lot different than confidence. Arrogant people think they're great at everything, and confident people know that they're terrible at almost everything.
Justin, welcome to Ultrahabits, man. How are you going?
You know, entrepreneur life. I was looking at your backstory, and it's like, tough childhood. Uh, really, really tough childhood. Addiction. Jail. Uh, and then here you are now, father of a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. Ultra habits. I mean, that's entrepreneur life. I mean, that's what it is.
And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the habits of an entrepreneur. As we know, I think there's been more focus nowadays on, the intrinsic game, the importance for the entrepreneur to have their shit together internally, I suppose. Um, in attempts to mitigate the challenging environments that they're operating in. And that's what we're gonna
Mm.
talk about today. I want to start with a statement that I heard, I think you made, and I want you to unpack this statement. You said something like an entrepreneur has to protect their confidence. Like that's a primary piece. What does that actually mean and why?
Yeah, it's great to be here. I always like talking to folks in, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, because they're living in the future, stay ahead. I'm in Chicago, so predicting the future. You're in the future, so that's very interesting. But so my brain, it turns everything into patterns. It takes all this complexity and turns it into patterns. I don't know why it does that. It's always done that, but I just want the answer, and then talk to ideators who are all over the place. And every now and then they'll have a truly great idea, and then I'll activate, maximize, achieve that. And then they'll have a really bad idea, meaning I talk to top entrepreneurs on the planet. That's most of my day, and talk to 1 to 2 of them every single week that have let entrepreneur life destroy their family life or prevented them from having a family. So that's a bad idea. And then I'll activate, maximize, achieve not doing that. So that's the background of how my brain works, and then the types of people that I talk to. So the number one pattern that I've learned in 5 years as an entrepreneur with zero business background, zero business background. I was a journalist for 20 years, now run 2 global companies that only partner with top entrepreneurs. So number one pattern is, if you have the right mindset, it attracts the right network and creates the right opportunities. So right mindset attracts the right network and creates right opportunities. And I think, to answer your question, because it's a good one, is if you have confidence and protect that confidence, it protects your mindset, which attracts the right network and creates the right opportunities. So I think that's why your question is really good, and why it's so important to protect that confidence.
A question. I've met a lot of people that have confidence, but that confidence really is kind of smoke and mirrors and not founded in any real skill. Like,
Mm.
how do we ensure that it's just not, we're not buying and selling our own bullshit? Like, when you say confidence, like, what do you mean by that? Like, there's the self belief
Yep.
piece, but
Yep.
how do we ensure that can translate into outcomes, I suppose, and we're not
Yep.
kind of diluted?
That's a great follow-up question, and no one's ever asked me that before. Um, so there are 34 strength finders, Gallup, Clifton Strength Finders, and a lot of entrepreneurs are very low in self assurance, so they have imposter syndrome. I'm actually sixth in that, which is very high. So no imposter syndrome, and I found that directness eliminates nonsense and attracts greatness. So top entrepreneurs on the planet really like my directness, and average human being, business owners, consultants, they think it comes off as arrogance. And arrogance is a lot different than confidence. Arrogant people think they're great at everything, uh, and confident people know that they're terrible at almost everything. I'm terrible at almost everything, but in terms of connecting people on a global level and then getting people in media on global level, I I know I'm very good at that. So I just stay in my zone of confident genius and eliminate everything else from my life, or have someone else do it for me. So I think that's the way of knowing who's confident and then knowing who's arrogant. If someone thinks they're great at everything, no, that's probably not how it works. And the entrepreneurs that I talk to, they're just confident in knowing that they're great at maybe one, two, maybe at most three things, but really it's usually one or two.
It's a really interesting discussion point, and it's topical for me. I'll give you just a quick backstory. So
Yeah.
I was mentored by someone who wouldn't allow me to just use my superpowers. Like, he wanted me and pushed me to learn how to execute. Like, for him, he felt that was key. Like, I used to say to him, "Well, I'm not good at that. I can't do that." And he'd be like, "No, that's a cop." And a lot of people let me off the hook, but he wouldn't. And I went and did the study. I went from street smarts to executional
Mm,
smarts and, book smarts and whatnot, did the MBAs and whatnot. And I would say that in very I've kind of morphed into an executor, albeit I'm still quite abstract and a bit disheveled and all over the place. And one of the frustrations though I have is when I'm working with founders or I'm around people that they have the mentality that I'll just stick to my patch and my brilliance in one domain. And I'm like, well, is that an excuse for you to not stretch yourself? And then it goes to this conversation of like focusing on strengths or shoring up weaknesses.
mm.
Like, how do we determine when we need to skill up and level up in certain areas? Or like, no. And like, when is that an excuse? Because I'm sure, Justin, you would come across scenarios where people will abdicate responsibility because it's just not my thing.
Your brain works it's an interesting brain. So most of the people I talk to are ADHD, diagnosed or undiagnosed. They're all over the place. Um, um, and so that's not a disorder. It's a sign of genius. It's just mislabeled by humans. I'd say most of the top entrepreneurs that I talk to are ADHD diagnosed. So they're idea, 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 and then again, Gallup, Clifton, Strength Finders. There's 34 of them. I'm 32 out of 34 in ideation. So, which is actually a strength because I know if it's just somebody rambling with nonsense, and then oh, there's a good idea. My top three are activate, maximize, achieve. So immediately simplify, immediate result. Immediately simplify, immediate result. So I put my Colby score in there. It's the only thing I write down before I meet someone, their name and their Colby score, because I know who I'm talking to. So what it
Hmm.
is it's not your personality. I don't care what someone's personality is. I want to know if they're actually going to do something. And the third number of those threes is the most important one for me, which is a seven. In 5 years as an entrepreneur, my firms have partnered with one person under a seven quick start. So seven is my quick start. Most of the folks I talk to are eight, nine, or 10. So they're just all over the place. Don't overthink anything. They just execute, just make the decision. And then I have a unicorn score because I have six follow through, which is incredibly high for an entrepreneur. Most of the folks I talk to have one, two, or three. So that's ADD diagnosed or undiagnosed. So I can keep up with the entrepreneur and follow through. Most visionaries, if they don't hire 3 million people, then nothing will get done because they don't have follow through. So I have high quick start and high follow through and high fact finder. And if you ask me to hold a pencil right or draw something, it's almost impossible for me. I can't do really anything with my hands.
Me neither.
So yeah, so the background with that is that I just stay in my zone of genius and continue to double down on that.
Hmm.
Besides putting my family first and ultra focused, just continuing to double down, raising rates, and then just continuing to just focus on zone of genius and exponentially grow that. Um, that's the number one reason why companies have been successful. So I'm not all over the place. It's not an excuse. I mean, at the
Mhm.
highest level, there are no excuses, only investment. And I know what I'm really good at, and I just focus on that.
I think the difference with that as well is some people know what they're good at, and then they will get out of their own way to allow others to come in, but
Yep.
some people know what they're good at and still get in the way of others.
100%. They're their
And
own
that's the
roadblock.
problem. That's the real problem. Like,
They're
if you
their own
know you're
roadblock. Yeah.
yeah, like, if you know you're not good at some shit and you admit it, but when the rubber meets the road, you're still in the way,
Right.
that's a problem, right?
Right.
And
So at the highest level, so I don't understand people who make excuses. Um, I just don't understand that. I'm 34 out of 34 in empathy. I don't understand why people would do that to themselves. It makes no sense to me. But top entrepreneur on the planet, I have endless empathy for them, because they wouldn't make an excuse, and they wouldn't they wouldn't do that. So regular person making an excuses, consultant making excuses, business owner making excuse, I have no idea why they're doing that. Top entrepreneur on the planet, I have endless empathy, endless empathy. And for the record, my Colby 8671, it literally means I've got this. That's literally what it means. Like, because I have high quick set and high follow through, and it's been a great learning experience that I've got this is not even close to as great as we've got this. So it's
what
literally
is
what my Colby.
Colby? What
Well,
is
that's what.
Colby?
Yeah.
Like, because
So
we keep referring to it. So, and I wanted to ask you, like, what is it and what's the relevance of Colby for entrepreneurs? Like, why should entrepreneurs know about Colby? Give us the rundown.
okay, well, I did. I just did with the previous thing, but I'll double down on it. So Colby is four. It's four scores. It's not what your personality is, which is meaningless to me. It's how you take action. It's how you
Right.
take action. So the first, my score is 8671. I've never met another one. I don't think I will. So it's 1 to 10. 10 is the highest. So I'm an 8 fact finder, that's really high. Most of the folks I talk to are very low in that. 6 follow through, which for an entrepreneur, visionary entrepreneur, that's astronomically high. Most of the folks I talk to are 3, maybe 4. And then quick start, which is boom, 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 boom. I'm a 7, which is average to a little below average a visionary. Most of the folks I talk to are 8, 9, or 10. And then the last number is 1, which is implementer. That doesn't mean executing. It means using your hands, like drawing, building something. Uh, I mean, I would be a 0 if that existed. I don't even know how to hold a pencil right. So most of the people I talk to, they're like 3, 3, 9, 3. So very high quick start, which is the 9, and little to no follow through.
Who invented Colby? Like, where is it from? Like, what's the origins of
Yeah, so
this?
you're a
I've
high
never heard of
fact
it.
finder. Yeah, so Colby's the top entrepreneurial test in the world. And the only thing I write down before I meet someone is their name and their Colby score. So for there's 2 reasons. One, if someone knows of it or has heard of it, it's 100% of the time a higher level of conversation because it's the top entrepreneurial test in the world. It was invented by Kathy Colby. Uh,
Mm.
she's she's run that company for 40 years. It's backed by science because again, it's how your brain takes action. So that's one higher level of conversation 100% of the time. It's not like DISC or Strength Finders. To me, it's number one. And then two, it's the Bible of strategic coach, which top entrepreneurial group in the world. I'm very confident saying that. I've been in it for a couple of years. And so in strategic coach, your name tag is your name, the industry you're in, not the name of your company because nobody cares, and then your Colby score. So then you know immediately who you're talking to.
How did you find Colby? Like, what was the draw to Colby? Like, what was that story?
Yeah, you're a really high fact finder. So yeah, so what happened so I'm also a high fact finder and have been an entrepreneur for 5 years with zero business background and spent the first 2 years talking to people who had no idea what I was talking about. And it was really interesting because I just keep making bigger investments to be in smaller rooms, but the people in those rooms are making bigger impacts. So I guess if you want to call those networking groups, I think the first group was $250 a year US. Then it was 500. Then it was 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. Now the two groups I'm in are 25,000 US a year each. I'd easily invest 50,000 a year each because it eliminates nonsense and attracts people that actually will do something. And anyway, in one of those smaller networking groups, I was talking to someone at lunch, and they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but the person who runs my company does. That person's name is Gary Klaben, and he's a genius. I mean, he is. He graduated first in his Army Rangers graduating class. He's an incredibly successful global entrepreneur in the financial industry, and he's also a coach and strategic coach. And he's like, "Well, you're not $500 a year group. You're 10,000 a year. Those are the only people that'll understand what you're talking about." And he's like, "Before you join, take your Colby." Um, and I did because I'm an activator. And so when he saw my score, he's like 8671. You'd never seen that before, never, and he still hasn't because it's a unicorn score. But then my 8 fact finder, because I'm a high fact finder, it's been obsessed with learning about people's Colby because in 5 years as an entrepreneur, my firms have partnered with one person under a 7 quick start. So, I mean, and I wrote about him in my new book because I'm fascinated by him. But quick start's incredibly important because I only want to partner with people that are going to do something and not waste my time.
Are these fixed, Justin? Like if let's talk about, is there a risk when I put numerical
No, no, no,
context?
no, no,
You see where I'm going though? Like is it fixed?
no,
Can I influence it? Can I change it? Can I evolve if I desire to? Or is this a score that is effectively who I am forever?
So it's backed by it's backed by decades of science, and then you can take it multiple times, and it very rarely changes more than a point or two. In 5 years, I've seen one person's score dramatically change, and there was a reason why. He went from a very low fact finder to a very high fact finder and a very high quick start to a very low quick start. And I go, "Well, what happened?" He goes, "Oh, I just had my first child." I'm like, "Well, that makes sense."
Okay. Context of
So
his life changed.
yeah,
Yeah.
but no, that's why I like it because it doesn't change. It doesn't change.
So effectively, what you're talking about is really knowing thyself. So for an entrepreneur, why is it important to have this level of understanding about themselves? Like, what now I have this knowledge, what does this enable me to do?
Well, again, if you have the right mindset, it attracts the right network and creates the right opportunities. So if you know who you are and know who you aren't, you can just focus on who you are and continue to double down on that. So, I mean, that's, again, I haven't done anything outbound in years. I just focus on who I am. Most people they don't understand what I'm talking about. They don't understand what my firms do, and that's fine. But the top entrepreneurs on the planet do, and they love me. They love the directness. They love the fact that it's just result, simplify, and activate for them. Simplify their message and share it with the world, and then connect them to other visionaries. And because of Colby and high quick start and knowing how those brains tick, those folks change the world, and they allow me to simplify their message and change the world by connecting them to other people. And that allows me to spend time with my family, which is what I really care about most. So it eliminates all this other nonsense that most people are living in. And I can just focus on what I like to do and what I'm good at.
And as you focused and you've continued to focus on what you're good at, what you love, Justin, what have been some of the critical habits that you've had to adopt as an entrepreneur, like stuff that's really kept you grounded on the path?
Yeah, that's a good question. And again, talk to me is completely meaningless without action. The only time I ever really talk is when it's in this type of format. I was a journalist for 20 years, so I'd rather listen to folks. So I don't really like to talk that much. However, my entire life is good patterns which become good habits. That's my entire life. Um, so a couple examples. One, the first thing I do every single day is a grateful journal to my wife, Sarah, who's a pediatrician. If you think of the opposite personality as me, that would be her. She is love, warmth, rules, order, calendar items, lists, whatever that is. And the most important thing for her is for someone to say thank you to her. So that's the first thing I do every day. Grateful journal to her, what I'm grateful for the previous 24 hours. Okay, that's the first thing.
Do you
Two,
give that to her, Justin? Sorry, let me
every now
ask you.
and then, yep, every now and
Okay,
then I will give that to her. The
right.
file's so big sometimes it's so big now that I'll it
Mhm.
shuts shuts down the email. But
Yeah.
and then I guess to dovetail that, every night at the end of the day, I ask her her top 3 wins for the day. Um, because again, like for her, that's I don't care if anyone says thank you to me, but for her, it's very important. So
Mm,
to acknowledge that. Okay, so that's one. Two, for at least I know you're an endurance runner, athlete. For the last at least 15 years, I've run outside 6 days a week, no matter the weather conditions. We're in the Chicago area, so the weather's never good here except for today for some reason. That's why I'm in my backyard. So 3 to 5 miles, which is
mm,
5 to 8 kilometers.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
okay. Every 6 days a week except Sunday, and then during that we'll listen to shows like this. So feeding the
mm.
body mind, which is the same thing.
I want to just quickly go to your first point. Again, I ask questions selfishly, can't help it. This whole piece around building a business, being driven. I've got two young kids, 2 and
Hmm.
5-year old, and um, sometimes I feel, and my wife have talked about it, like the time between us is the leftovers, and
Incorrect.
I don't like that, and so we really trying to, well, we're really focused on that. Like, how do entrepreneurs keep their marriage? Like, what's been the recipe for you? Like, how, in terms of just that piece? Because obviously you have a focus on it. Like, your gratitude list is
Well,
great.
why
Like, that's
wouldn't
something.
you? I mean, why would that? So, okay, so I talk to 1 to 2 people. Again, most of my day is spending time with my wife and our sons, who are 8 and 10,
Mhm.
or talking to the world's top entrepreneurs. So, not consultants, not business owners, like definitely not humans. These people are barely human in a good way. I mean, people like me are usually
Yeah.
aliens in our own family, community, and vertical. The only people that understand us are top entrepreneurs. So, So I talk to 1 to 2 people a week like that who have let entrepreneur life destroy their family life or prevented them from having a family. So that's a bad
Mm.
idea. I'm going to activate, maximize, achieve, not doing that. So here's my litmus test. Okay, this is my entire litmus test for that. Most people don't have the confidence and or courage to be like this, but I do because I'm not going to let entrepreneur life destroy my family life. So if I talk to someone, and I will immediately know, because when you talk to the same type of person, you know if they're like that or not. So if I talk to someone, and I will realize right away if they're going to take time away from me and my family, I will never talk to that person again. If I talk to someone and I know I can add value to them and they can add value to me, lifetime friendship. So, but
Mm.
why would you talk to someone who's going to take time away from you and your family? That doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so the third thing I do every day, or Monday through Friday, is a grateful journal on LinkedIn, which I've already included this in that. But so it's a commercial for other people, what I'm grateful for that day. And so to simplify all that, when you're constantly grateful, it's hard to be grateful or ungrateful. Excuse me. When
Mm.
you're constantly grateful, it's hard to be ungrateful. And so gratitude attracts gratitude, and it repels arrogance. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's a big thing. Gratitude lists, we share it around. I'm not as strong on them as I probably used to be or should be, but it's for someone that's newly sober, reframing their woes and focusing on what is working and the silver lining is really critical, particularly
Right.
within the difficult times. I mean, there's science behind that as well.
Yeah.
I really value that, Justin. Thanks for sharing that with us. I
Oh,
want to go into some of your business principles now. Yeah, you
yeah.
you talked about you don't see competition.
There is no
You see
competition.
collaboration. Talk about co-opetition. Unpack that for us, man.
Yeah, so at the highest level, there is no competition, only collaboration. So, business owners, consultants, humans, they live in the world of competition. True visionary entrepreneur, they're just trying to change the world by collaborating with other the world people. So their world people, I can't help them because they take time away from me and my family. The world people, the purpose of my life is to be a connecting superhero for every visionary, abundance, investment mindset entrepreneur, not business owner, not consultant, not human, entrepreneur, fundamental difference, and share their stories with the world, not the. So the world people have already changed their world, or they're going to do whatever it takes to change their world. and they're going to change the world. Those people do not live in competition space. They live in full collaboration. So
mm,
I guess technically my first company is in the PR public relations space, and people are like, "Oh, isn't that's competitive, right?" I go, "No, because the only people that I want to partner with through that firm are visionaries who live in abundance and who look at things as investments, not costs. So there's no competition. And if anyone asks what do you cost or charge, I'll never talk to that person again because they're in their world. They're a business owner, and those are people that are going to take time away from me and my family. So that's not arrogance at all. That's just confidence in who I am and knowing that I'm a dad who happens to be an entrepreneur and would never let entrepreneur life destroy my family life. So it's very simple.
Can we draw, just for the audience, the distinction for you in regards to business owner and
Mhm.
entrepreneur?
100%. It's a great question. I appreciate it. And um, you know, I've been an entrepreneur for 5 years. When I was a journalist for 20 years, but really I was an entrepreneur who happened to be a journalist. So never understood negative news, political news. If it bleeds, it leads. I don't understand that. So as a journalist, wrote about cool people changing the world, and as an entrepreneur, writing about and connecting, cool people changing the world. And so business owners care about revenue, office space, employee count, bottom line, whatever that stuff is. They care about material things, material. And they're trying to change their world, their. True entrepreneur, true visionary, they care about purpose, spending time with family and loved ones, connecting people, collaborating, and they're trying to change and actually doing, they're changing the world. It's a fundamental difference. And I would, to quantify it without quantifying it, I'd venture to say my firm's partner with maybe 0.1% of the population. And most people, because they don't live in abundance, think that's a small number. I'm like, well, it's not, because you're not in collaborative space. Let's say there's 8 billion people on the planet. 0.1% of 8 billion is 8 million. That's 8 million. That's a lot of people, and those are the ones that actually will change the world and help everyone else. So my firms, we help the 8 million who help everyone else.
Okay. So a lot of the, particularly the distinction that you're making is really about a mindset, right?
100%, because the right mindset attracts the right network, which creates the right opportunities. So it's the same formula, and that's the number one thing that I've learned. If you have the
Mm,
right mindset, it attracts the right network and creates the right opportunities. So then you ask the habits that create that mindset, which I told you, and that's it. So, and it's the same formula. So I keep making bigger investments in smaller rooms, but the people in those rooms are making bigger impacts. So again, 25,000 a year for each for the two groups I'm in. I'm easily would spend 50,000 a year. So the people in those rooms, less people in the room, but they're making bigger impact. So that allows me to spend biggest investment in smallest room, which is my family, where I can make the most impact. So it's the same formula: bigger
mm,
investment, smaller room, people in those rooms making bigger impact allows me to spend biggest investment, most time in my family, where I can make the most impact.
You're not stretched. You're kind
Why
of
would you
focused.
be?
Yeah, yeah. You're focused on where the activity, where you're driving good ROI, and ROI could be defined as many different things, not necessarily.
That's a great
Excuse me.
question. So I've in 8 years or 8 years, in 5 years as an entrepreneur, I've gotten the ROI question 8 times. So
Mm,
one or two times a year. And I don't like ROI is totally meaningless to me other than time with my family
mm,
and network.
yeah.
So business owners care about, whatever that stuff is. The only like in the 10x aspect, my 10x's are two things. One, experience in life with my family. If you have a good family life, you have a good life. I have not met one person, whether they're an alien like me or a human, if you have a good family life, if you don't have a good life, I haven't met that person. If you meet that person that has a good family life and hasn't had a good life,
Yeah,
please introduce them to me. I'd like to meet that person.
yeah,
And then
it's
the other
yeah.
10x is network on a global level. When you create endless opportunities for your network, they create endless opportunities for you.
Mate, it's so important, right? Like we have lots of women that watch the show. We have lots of men.
Hmm.
Conversations I have with my male mentors in particular, around the primary relationship, right? Like it's an inside out approach, but I think a lot of people are working an outside in approach, and
Hmm.
the things that they're serving aren't actually allowing them to spend time doing the things they think they're doing it
They're
for.
winning the wrong game. They're just winning, yeah, so, I mean, all it for whatever it's worth, the new book that I just wrote, it's
Yeah.
Wall Street Journal bestseller and USA Today, and it was #1 overall on Amazon Kindle. It's about how to build collaborative global companies while putting your loved ones first. I mean, that's literally, and then Peter Diamandis, who's one of the top entrepreneurs in the world, did the foreword, but one of the chapters is winning the wrong game. So when someone leads with revenue and hey, I just expanded here, and they're just that they care about material stuff, not a true entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, Justin, I can hear my wife yelling at my kids. They're trying to get to
That's
school.
awesome. Fantastic.
um, we're gonna start to land this plane. But I have to say I really valued this conversation. I think
Me
there was
too.
a lot of takeaways. I'm gonna ask you one question though,
Okay.
before we go. You said people are born with superpowers. You refer to that. How do people find them, Justin? Does everyone have them? Like, is everyone a potential alien? Like, is it just
Mhm.
about finding it? And if so, how does someone do that?
So there's a couple ways to answer that. That was a good series of questions. So I strongly feel you're either born top entrepreneur on the planet or you're not. Most people are not born to be top entrepreneur on the planet. I think most people would say, "Hey, if you can let me make as much money as I want to, see my family and friends whatever I want to, do what I like to do and what I'm good at, sign me up for that." But I have not met. This is what separates entrepreneurs from humans, consultants, business owners. I have not met one, not one, that hasn't overcome at least one of the following four things. Most are two or three, and then it's actually interesting that really successful ones, most of them are all four. So this is what separates entrepreneurs from everyone else. Four things are bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy, two, depression, three, the highest level of anxiety that you can imagine, and four, likely and or possible traumatic experiences as a child or young adult. So humans, business owners, whatever, that world, those are excuses. Entrepreneur at the highest level, okay, fuel, figure it out. Now, many times, not always, but many times, entrepreneurs who are the most damaged people with the best coping skills. That's what entrepreneurs are. Most damaged people with best coping skills. They use those coping skills to create massive company, massive revenue, that stuff. And then many times, definitely not always, but many times at the expense of anything meaningful in their life. Anything. So that's what I see. That's why I wrote the book, because I'm just like, you don't have to destroy your family or have anything meaningful in your life for this life. And as a journalist, you don't get into that for employee count. I mean, that's not why you become a journalist. So it's been great to not have that damage of business school or school in general with
Mhm.
that kind of thing, just to learn how to win the wrong game, because I don't care about that. I just want to spend time with my family and grow my network. And so when you're constantly talking to the world's top entrepreneurs and they're letting this life destroy their family life or prevent them from having a family, I'm very aware of not doing that. Very, 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 very aware to make sure that I put my family first no matter what.
You know, people will value what they see as good. And I think like
Mm,
a big challenge with entrepreneurs or anyone is that what they say is important isn't what is actually represented in how they spend their time or energy.
mhm,
And I would argue that a lot of the entrepreneurs that are willing to destroy their lives or not, or their family lives or not have one,
mhm.
they're probably still at a place where they don't value it. Like, I think they will tell you they value it, but they don't. Because if they were, they would be having the conversation that you're having with me. And I guess what your book I think that's why I think your book is brilliant. Like,
Thank you.
it's I think the last piece of that, like, how not to destroy the family,
So
like that.
fascinating, because I
Yeah.
hate using the word should. Like, I can't believe I even just said that, but it should be the first piece, but it's like,
Mm,
um
mm,
again, entrepreneurs, the very most damaged people with the best coping skills. So, um again, simplify into patterns. Most of the entrepreneurs I talk to are one, if not more, of the following four things. One, ADHD for sure. That's most of them. Again, not a disorder. Two is Asperger's, minor Asperger's. My wife, who is a doctor, has officially diagnosed me with that. And that's like ultra focus, which makes sense. Third, which is really interesting, I was talking to an assessment expert who's done decades of assessments. She said 30% of very high performing entrepreneurs are dyslexic. 30%, which makes sense because they can't learn one way, so their brain adapted. And then the fourth one, which is definitely true, because most of the people I talk to, if not all of them, fall into this category. They have incredibly high IQ or EQ, whether they've taken the test or not. Most of the people I talk to, I can just tell, are 140 and above. And 140 is 1% of the population. That's genius. And then I'm 139, which I'm actually glad, because it's like a bridge between true geniuses and humans. And when you get way above 140, it is like robotic, like barely human in any capacity. So I'm glad I'm actually not that
Well, you know what? I found your fascination with like the numbers
high.
and kind of like, you know, like that I could feel that coming through. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to connect you. I don't know if you know, I had a previous guest. His name's Darren Jacklin.
Yeah,
He's
I talked to
Canadian.
Darren last week. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I you get what I'm putting down. Like I had him on the podcast,
Yeah.
and obviously during school he was kind of put in. You know, they thought
All
he
right.
was retarded. He was kind of grew up in an era where they didn't really know what to do. I think with
Mhm.
spectrum ish kids, and
Yeah.
but I had a conversation on my podcast with him. Like I didn't have a coffee yet, and that like we spoke, and he was just like boom, right? Like he was just like
He's probably a 10 quick start. He has not taken his Colby, but he's a 9 or 10 quick start for sure.
extraordinary. Like his computing and just, but
100%. And his
he's just
IQ is off the
everywhere.
charts. And so again, I did not know you had him on your podcast, but this is what I'm talking about. Right mindset attracts right network, creates right
Yeah.
opportunity. So that's what I mean. I mean, I just so that's a perfect you
Yeah,
just I just
yeah,
so
yeah,
you're like, "Oh, what about results or action?" Well, you just answered it.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
So people like that love me.
yeah, yeah, you guys are yeah, I can see the connection. So
No doubt.
again, yeah, I mean, it was just, yeah, when you were speaking, I just couldn't help but think about Darren. So as we kinda head out here,
By the way,
Justin,
it's Sir Darren Jet. He's a sir. He's knighted.
yeah, he's Sir Darren, yeah, he's a sir now, he's definitely a
He's a
sir.
sir. He
Yeah.
literally is knighted.
And
That's funny.
it's crazy, like, they kind of, very similar to you, like, the references to numerical order, he's got, and I've got a friend here in Melbourne like this too, just this massive bandwidth for, retaining information as
Mhm.
well, like, I felt like Darren was quite remarkable there, and, you know,
Yeah,
like, he
he's a
was talking to
genius.
me yeah, he was talking to me about, like, working with individuals in high net worth where they're like creating 500-year family legacy plans, like shit that just blew my mind, right? Like, I was
It's
like, what?
amazing, right?
I was like, what is going on here, right?
So do
Like,
you ever get tired of that? Like, so that
yeah,
my day
yeah,
is talking to Darren, and I never get tired of that because those are the only people that will actually they will do it. And then just connecting them to other people like that. And here's the other thing that's super interesting. There's two things. One, my wife, who's a human at the highest level, she's incredibly brilliant, not an
mhm.
entrepreneur, thank God. She's like, you have to stop identifying people by numbers. I'm like, well, I just look at people and I see numbers. I look at people and see their Colby. And then the other thing is you not always, but usually people like us usually marry stabilizing humans. So I was always ask people like us, so is your spouse like a school teacher, social
Yeah,
worker, I was a pediatrician, and they're like a pilot, and they're like, how'd you know that? I go, well, imagine marrying yourself. That would
yeah,
wouldn't go very well. It can happen though.
yeah,
But more often than
yeah.
not, it's a human that they marry.
Yeah, my wife doesn't drink the Kool-Aid, that's for sure, and I
Oh
kind of
yeah,
need
she's
that.
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
what is
it's
your wife's
like
profession? What is her profession?
she's not working right now,
Well,
so she's been
what is she trained in?
she's a hairdresser, right? So she wasn't a
Perfect,
professional.
perfect.
But but yeah, she kind of listens and is used to kind of being a pseudo psychologist. But she doesn't we don't go deep and it's probably suitable because what it does is it helps me kind of not go too deep when I'm at home. Like I can be a
Oh
bit,
my god, I have a
you know what I
funny
mean?
story for you. Do you wanna
Yeah,
hear this?
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, okay, so my book this is hilarious. I'm only mentioning this because it's funny. And my wife is she's really smart, has a photographic memory. Our first date was the day before she started medical school, so if there's anything comparable to entrepreneur life, it's going through that. But she's a total human, thank God. So my book came out in August, and it sold and it relatively quickly. It sold 10,000 copies relatively quick. So I got for me, I don't really get excited about things, but I was pretty
Yeah,
happy about
yeah,
that.
for
And then
sure.
it made Wall Street Journal like okay, so it sells this 10,000 copy. And I was looking on the computer when it happened. I got excited, and she goes, "Justin, Justin, go on, go in the backyard." I'm like, "What's wrong?" She goes, "Our one of our dogs she's eating a squirrel." I'm like, "Oh my god!" So I ran into the backyard, but I'm so thankful for that because like
Mm,
I need that. She
yeah.
taught me how to say thank you and like, "Hey,
Mm.
pick up your kids at school. Don't forget."
Oh, mate, let me
So
tell you.
thank God.
The relationship with my wife forced me to focus on things that I used to think were trivial and would have looked
100%.
arrogant. Like, they would have I would have been completely arrogant. Like, "What do you mean, do that? Like, that's I've got shit to do." You know, like, I'm not you know what I mean? Like, and she was like, "No, you're gonna do that." Like, it
Well,
was
that's why the grateful journal to my wife, that's the first thing I do every day. It's a
uh,
constant reminder of how
yeah,
important because no, without her,
yeah,
it's really bad situation.
yeah,
Real
dude. It reminds me of a conversation I had with Jack Daly. I talk to Jack Daly a lot, in San Diego, and I said to him, "Jack," I go, he's really intentional. He's like he's like, "Dude," he goes, "I'm not gonna do shit I don't wanna do."
right.
You know, I'm not gonna nail a hammer. I'm not gonna do anything
Oh
that's
god.
even
Oh no.
remotely outside of my wheelhouse. It's just a waste of time. And I was like, "Well, Jack, isn't that kind of like" he's like, "Nope, not gonna do it." I
Well,
was
he's like,
like,
yeah, exactly. No, why would you do that?
"Oh,
That
he's
would be
funny."
insane. If I did a hammer and a nail, I would probably break my finger. I would
My
break my
wife doesn't let me do it. She doesn't like me do anything that requires tools because I break shit.
Oh,
So,
you're a low implementer. You would like the I'll send you the Colby after this.
yeah, send it to me, mate.
Yeah,
So, where do our audience where can they find more, about you, Justin, your book, and kind of learn more about what you do, bro?
okay, thank you. Yeah, the book is called Epic Life. I think it was a bestseller in Australia. I think it was. I'm guessing it was. But it's all over the world. And then I guess we'll mention the company, uh, the two companies founder of are Brepic, which is a global PR firm, BREPIC, LLC.com, and then global connectivity platform, Brepic Network, that's LinkedIn without the BS, invite only connectivity platform. So very grateful for that. And it's only the beginning, man. Excited for more conversations here. And can't wait
For
to hear your
sure.
Colby. I'm gonna guess, see, I'm 8671. You're at least a 7. I'm gonna guess you're a 7 7 5 1. I guess you're a 7 7 5 1.
Well, send it through, I'll take it, and let's do it for shits and giggles because I wanna see if your numerical wizardry is, hits the mark.
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Alright, man. Thank you so much for your time, Justin.
Congrats on marrying a stabilizing human and having 2 great kids. It's a daily miracle, right? Daily miracle.
It really is, particularly for someone like me.
But hey, I'm sending you Colby now. Really appreciate the time, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, mate.